You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shemaiah Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shemaiah Reed.
Welcome back to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and just like any other time, we have another program for y'all today. Today, we're joined by Kohila Sivas. She is a visionary educator, a master learner, success coach, and founder of Learning Success Academy. She has amazing story, amazing background. She is someone that you need to know. She has an amazing story from her childhood, and as a professional, we're going to learn everything about her. And you know how it is. We have so many great people on the show. We have resumes that probably take me 25 minutes to uncover. So I'm going to just cut to the chase and bring Kohila to the show and say, first of all, how you doing?
Very good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I appreciate your time. Let's learn a little bit about your background. People in show notes can go to your website, Wholistic SuccessCodes.com, and we're going to have all the information and detail in the show notes. But kind of start out first, what inspires you with getting to the educational field and helping out so many in the community?
Yes. So I'm originally Sri Lankan. That's where I was born. It's a small island underneath India. People think it's part of India. It's not. It's a separate island. So that's where I was born, and we had a war right after my birth. We had a war, so my parents lost everything. That led us to come to Canada. So that's where I grew up after that. So coming to a new country was a big change for me, leaving everything behind. My dad lost everything. He was a very successful business owner in Sri Lanka. So he lost everything and became, overnight dishwasher when we came to Canada. So that put him under, handling that through his own way was through alcohol. So that became a lot for me as a child because, when your dad or someone in your family is alcoholic, then you have to deal with their trauma as well as your own issues, right? So school wasn't going well for me. So I decided to mute myself when I was young because that's how I learn how to deal with things, is to shut it down. So that didn't really help in learning the language, right? If you mute yourself, you're not going to learn as fast as you could if you practice. But that's what I learned to do. And eventually, someone took advantage of me at the age of 12. That led to me wanting to end my life. By age 12, I didn't want to be in the world anymore. Now, during all of this time, I had a biggest companion that I have been, having a lot of conversation was my brain and my mind. I talk to it a lot of time because I don't talk to people, but I talk to myself. So when I decided to end my life, when I woke up the next day, I couldn't find that companion. I couldn't talk to my brain anymore, right? It wasn't there anymore. It wasn't guiding me anymore. So I was panicking because that's the only thing that I've ever talked about all my problems. So that's kind of when, some people believe in God, some people believe in universe, whatever you believe in, we all know that there's a higher power than all of us as human, right? That power told me, that's the day that the power was able to prove to me the power of our mind. Whatever state you're in, your mind will respond to that and produce the stories and evidences to prove that, right? So when I woke up, my mind was telling me, after a while of searching, the mind came back online and it was telling me, why did you do such a thing? What a crazy idea to kill yourself. Like, why would you even think, look how many people you've hurt now. So I'm like, who is this person? Right? All of a sudden, the mind has changed the opposite to what it was telling me the day before. So because I had the opportunity to live both of those sides in such a devastating way, at that moment, what I received was, you're in control of your mind. It doesn't control you. That was the message from my creator, my God, that I believe in. So from that, I started walking. Of course, like any practice, if you learn something new, it's not just going to come like that, right? It takes time. It takes practice. So it took me until I was 32 years old. I was still going through mastering my mind, getting my mind to do what I want to do. But throughout that, I've created a way of getting myself to do what I need to do instead of going into places and getting stuck. So that became my methodology. And I also wanted to, I used math as a therapy growing up. So when I grew up, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to share all of this, right, in the school system. But unfortunately, when I got there, I saw too many of me sitting on those desks. Too many of me when I was 12 and 13 were sitting on those desks. And I know that that's not what they wanted to hear from me, like the math tricks or the math exercises that I was bringing, because they were already shut down. They needed more than that to get ready to learn. So right now, I've created, over the years of working with students over the last 25 years, I've created a methodology called Readiness OS, which is the prerequisite to me asking my students to learn, right? So that has become now that's what I train other coaches and educators. That's the methodology now I have piloting in 2 schools, one in the US, one in Canada. I've trained over 400 plus educators and coaches under the methodology. So whatever I went through, I've turned it into a methodology, and I've been able to use with thousands of people. Now I've trained hundreds of people. Now I'm going into the school system because this is the missing link in our education system.
That's great stuff, by the way. So first I want to point out, congratulations on doing that, because obviously you've been on many, many platforms and telling your story on multiple media platforms. So it's self-evident that you're doing something that's not just working, but is extremely impactful. So I want to congratulate you on that. Let's talk about the process of you working with students. You often talk about alignment before achievement. What does that actually look like for a student?
Yeah. So a lot of the time we don't know what the state the student is in, right? So when I started my tutoring business, I started starting tutoring business thinking that if I was one-on-one with my students, I can deliver more and I can get them to work. But then it's like I always go back to a car, right? If the car wheels are not in alignment, I can't add speed to that. Where am I going to go? The car is going to break down. So it's the same way. We have to figure out where the misalignment and where the blocks are for the human. Human is also a machine. We are a living systems of, we're a living system. We are bombarded with so many variables. Each seconds we're changing. We have chemicals that are operating our body, but we don't think of it like that. We just think like, okay, let's go study math. Let's go do essays. But what about if the system's not ready? If the person's not in alignment, they're not going to be ready. If they're not ready, it doesn't matter. Even if I give them the world's best strategies, it doesn't matter. They're not going to do it. And I go back to my own 12-year-old self, right? If the world expert sat beside me when I was 12-year-old, would I have learned? Would I have produced? Would I have performed? No. Because I was shut down and I wanted to end my life. That's what was going through my head. Right? So when we're not ready, when we're in a state of not learning, we have to understand that this is... So I go back to when the school system was started back then in the Industrial Revolution side of it, right? When they began, they wanted the person to come and become a machine and become a worker, right? There was no understanding of this human, but that's not the consciousness we live in now. We can understand that this human needs more than just a command and a demand and sit down and do your you do your stuff. We don't work like that, And then since COVID, compliance, strict rules, those don't work on our students anymore. They don't really care what you tell them.
And before I go to the next question, I want to pick up on what you said about COVID. There's a lot of professors who have commented on delayed learning that was impacting young students. How have you seen that impact people that are students that you've been helping? How has COVID delayed their learning, and what were some of the consequences that you're seeing has taken root in that?
Yeah, we never really, as human beings, as adults, have ever appreciated how much our students have gone through in that time period. We socially handicapped them, right? Forget the learning gap. Socially, so many adults I know who are 19, 21 right now, who are struggling with the social impact of shutting them and putting them into a house and not having exposure to other human beings in real interaction, like one-on-one, like this, or, in the real world, right? So that alone is a big gap. because social is so important for these students, right? And then we took them out of school, we put them online. Did we ever bring them back to reintroduce, or did we just throw them back into the regular classroom? We threw them back into the regular classroom, like as if they would be the flexible people as possible. So they did it, but there's gaps, not only just in learning, just in that. And how many people, like we told them there's a big virus that's going to kill you, right? Did we educate them on like how to stay protected after that? Because viruses, if I have that fear, I'm not going to be able to be around other people. I'm always going to think who has the virus that's going to kill me. These are children we're talking about, right? So there was no reintroduction to the atmosphere again, the environment again. We just throw them there, throw them back in, and they're like, go. And then have we ever stopped to say, okay, if school was how we think of it is, if we have, these disturbances happening, did we ever say how much was the loss during this period? Should we slow down and really get them caught up? Or did we just put them back into, if they were in grade 4, they just went into grade 5 next year? So obviously there's going to be gaps. If you would think of grade 4 should have accomplished certain things, it didn't accomplish certain things because they were under a fear of something that is attacking them, right? So we should expect we should expect them to have gaps. There shouldn't be any shock for anybody in the school system. Oh, there's gaps. Oh, wow. No, there should be gaps. And we should honor that there's a gap, and we should give them space and grace to pick it up. And I didn't see that happen. I don't know if anywhere else happened. That's why teachers are struggling, because they have students who are in grade 6 or 7 who don't even know reading yet. Like fundamental stuff they don't even know, right? So how do we fix the gap? It's too big.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have you on. You're giving some good insight on this. So once again, listen on Refocused Radio and watching us online, talking to our guest, Kohila Sivas. Go to her website, Wholistic SuccessCodes.com, and there'll be other links that she has resources for you to check out as well. Since we are talking about stress, this would be a perfect thing to talk about chronic stress. How does that affect a student's ability to focus, learn, and also perform in school?
Yeah, chronic stress is something that never leaves us, right? It's always there. It's always there. And then not even student, even as an adult. And the mind always want to go there because we want to have, mind needs to be free to explore. Learning is exploring, right? It's a discovery, exploration, understanding, application. So if you're already stressed with something else, how are you going to go to explore? You're not going to. Their mind is somewhere else occupied, just like I was occupied in killing myself when I was young. So it's not just stress, it's anything, right? Pressure, stress, other issues. Self-image, whatever we're going through, if our mind is so focused on all of that, if somebody says, let's learn times table, they're like, they'll do it because somebody's forcing them. Now, does forced learning ever work? No. And even if it looks like it's working, it actually evaporates very quickly from our mind, right? Because it was forced. I wasn't enjoying. So the most learning that happens is when the person's feelings are involved and we are involved in the learning situation, right? If I'm not involved in it, somebody says pressuring me to, memorize for a test, I don't get it after a while, right? It's never with me. So our education system is in a period right now where they have tried everything and everything and everything and anything. It's time for a big shift. That shift is not just implementing AI, because everybody thinks just bring AI and everything will be fine. No. Now, I always go back to the analogy of a farmer. If a farmer wants a great harvest, he doesn't just throw the seeds anywhere he wants and say, okay, let's see how much it grows and harvest time is coming, right? No, he doesn't do that. What does he first do? Find the land that's proper, and then even finding it after, he actually cultivates that soil first before he even thinks to plant, right? So our school system has to become that first. We need to cultivate this soul, this soil, the mind soil, this human soil, right? If we don't cultivate that person first, We cannot ask them and demand them to do output from them, which is our education system way of measuring us, right? We have to output results. So everybody thinks it's AI that's going to solve. No. It's going to be the basic things that humans need in order to get ready, this body and soul, right? In order for us to start performing. So just like a farmer, we need to think of it as, let's prepare the soil, then plants the seeds. So we don't blame the seeds. Right now we're blaming the seeds, which are the students. And we're planting them on concrete and saying, why aren't you growing? And they're like, I don't know. It's concrete.
You tell me, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and the teachers are frustrated. They're burned out. We're losing passionate teachers of years and years of experience. They want to run away from the system. That's not a good situation either, because if they all leave, who are you going to hire? AI? You know, AI has a space, and there is a spot for AI in the education system, which can take a lot of teachers, repetitive works. But human to human, this interaction that builds that, relationship and the, inside that what humans need is going to be through human and human. And that's not going to go away. And I see it in our coaching, how students turn around. Students who come to us fully shut down, fully given up. And then they, get excited about it. And same things happens for the teachers when I train them. They come like, I don't want to be in this job. And then they get fully excited and revamped and like, I want to do this.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you train more than 300 educators as learning success coaches. So with that experience, why do you believe so many educators are curious and wanting to learn different ways to make an impact on these students?
Yeah, we always have training, right? Just like any other profession, we have professional development days for teachers, but all of it is like, do this, do that, do this, do that. And over time, teachers gets very tired of them being told that, it's you, or you need to try harder, or you're not connecting, or you need to try this and that. So even like, we have like, if you say the word even mindfulness to a teacher, they shut down. Because you don't even know how many programs have come and gone that says, yeah, let's practice on the mindfulness of everything here. Or the mindset, right? That word mindset also shut them down because we applied it too much. They're like, okay, here comes another mindset exercise I have to learn now, and which I'm not going to be able. So it's not working. So that's why, there's a school district in Canada that approached me, and they're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars to retain the teachers, because they're burned out, and they're like, if you give me one more program about mindfulness or how to make me feel better, I'm done. I'm not going to take it. They're even not wanting to take programs anymore because they're tired of it. So all of the programs are starting with what? Let's improve your performance. The program that I've created, I look at it as, what does this human need first? What does the readiness look like for this human, right? So every human is different in our own makeup, right? We have our own soul print biology, which I call it. If that biology is not honored, forget performance. It doesn't matter if it's a teacher, if it's an adult in a workplace, doesn't matter. If we don't honor the soul print, that biological system somehow is going to be blocked, and eventually they're not going to perform. That's what's happening. So my program gets them ready for that performance. Instead of tweaking the performance, I want to work with the system of the human who needs to be unblocked. So that's why they want to pilot this. So right now I have my program piloting in one school, one district in Canada, and I will have all the data by December of this year. And then I have another school in the US piloting it. And I'm going to take my program to South Africa. I was just in London, spoke to a South African minister there, was at an event. I'm going to take it, and then I'm also going to start with the readiness. So there's a piece before what we're doing. We're not doing it wrong, because I don't blame people, right? I'm not here to blame anybody. Everybody's doing the right thing. What I discovered with my experience of me going through and thousands of people and hundreds of adults I work with, what I discovered is that we are missing a prerequisite to it. That's all. If we add the prerequisite, whatever we have, just be elevated, right? We already have everything. And the AI, it would skyrocket our results as humans. But we don't have the prerequisite because we forgot that this is a living system.
Yeah. It's like having that foundation built first, the most important core, because without that, you're just basically betting on something that can fade away in an instant. So I appreciate you saying that. And once again, listen on Refocus Radio, watching us online, talking to our guest today, Kohila Sivas. Go to her website. It's Wholistic SuccessCodes.com. That's HolisticSuccessCodes.com. You touched on AI. AI is a buzzword since ChatGPT became public to mankind. And I'm going to be honest. I like it. I know a lot of people who don't like it.
I love it.
And I understand. Like, I totally get it. And I've done a ton of interviews with a lot of tech gurus who they have the same kind of mindset. Human first, AI second. I think the more we see it, with technology, and you can touch on this from the educational lens, it's going to be determined by who is using it as a tool set and who's relying on it like a person putting their finger on a doorbell and leaving it there. That's pretty annoying. And I guess we all can agree, yes, there is definitely such thing as AI slop, and there's definitely AI shortcuts that we might want to take a step back and rethink. What are you seeing in the educational system where you see areas where AI is beneficial, and also maybe we should pump the brakes a little bit and make sure we're not taking a lot of shortcuts?
For customization, because in our school system, customization has never been done to the level, right, that we wanted to. We say we customize, but we say inclusive classrooms to so many different ways. Kids learn differently, right? We all learn differently, but we have a standardized system. Because for scaling, that's how we created a standardized system. So that's good for scaling. But when it comes to more and more and more students started becoming different in their way of learning, we kind of lost it. We say we include students. We always say in our educational field, like, inclusion without proper support is exclusion. Right? So that's what's happening in our classrooms right now. So for that reason, what I did is when AI came in, come a year and a half ago or whatever, when it arrived, I said, you know what, I want to be on the first train of this. I'm not going to stay on the back of it or not even be on the train, because that's what I did with the internet came. When internet came, I'm like, I'm good with my paper and pen. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, what I lost, right? Over the years, I had to pick it up. But when AI came, I said, I am in the front. In fact, I want to drive this train if I can. That's how I was excited about it. So what I did is I created my own AI system for our program. Now we can customize for every single person that we coach. Now, I could not have done that without AI, right? But then we take that information and we don't hand it to our clients and say, go figure it out. We don't do that. We take it and we make it human interactive, and then we human to human, we deliver that coaching so that they can get to where they need to go. So we are the guide. AI is giving us powerful information that it would take me almost a year to figure out all of that, maybe even not. I can't even come up with it because we don't think like this, right? AI is thinking like in, this capacity. We don't have it. Humans don't have that. So that's where I see the power of AI is for customization. So I can finally see that we can say we have customization for students who need that in the classroom. Because we were just pretending before. I know a lot of people won't admit it, but I can tell you a lot of the time we just pretend that we're differentiating because humans have capacity that they limits them. But now we have unlimited capacity to customize for the students that we need. But we still need the human in the classroom, which are the teachers with the heart, to administer this and guide them, right? So I think there's a good way of merging both worlds. And I am so excited for that. Yeah.
And getting back to the human spirit core, because I know people, you can scroll online and see who likes and who doesn't like. And so I respect both sides. But getting back to the human core, for a parent or educator who's listening or watching this right now, and they see a child struggling, you gave your powerful testimony of you as a 12-year-old. When you look through the lens of that young woman, girl, I should say, when you were getting to that point where, okay, what do I need to do to get to that level of education personally, what will you say words of encouragement to that educator or that parent who wants to see their child get better with their own personal experience with their educational journey?
So if you want your child to perform, performance is not where it begins. We have to drop the performance. It's not about the grades. If we focus on, what is my child's report card looks like, we're focusing on the wrong part of the child. We need to come back to who that child is as a person. That child is a human first before the child is a student. Student was after. That child was born here with the soul print biology of its own. If it has not been honored, that's why the report card reflects what's reflecting. So if you want to see results on that report card and performance and how they show up in the world, they need to come to their soul print biology to figure out who they are, figure out where the blocks are. So when I say to parents who bring, like I'm a math expert, I've cracked the codes in math, right? I use math as a therapy. I love math. So when they bring it to me, they're like, yeah, my child's not getting good grades in math. Well, I sat with thousands of kids, I was giving them the best strategies in the world and they were not picking up. They were still stuck. They were looking up at me for the answers. Then I said, drop the stupid math stuff and look at this child as a child, see what is blocking them. And I gave them, then they got excited. Oh, let's do it like this. Let's figure this out this way. Can I do it this way? It came back. So we need to get the child alive and excited to learn. If that prerequisite there, if you can bring that, then their report card is going to reflect that. It's a byproduct of that work. That's the prerequisite that needs to happen. So all teachers, all parents, every one of us is trained for what? Look at the results and performance and see how we can help this child or the person, right? Yeah. To get more of the results. But I say, forget the results and performance, come back to this human blueprint or soul print and see where they're blocked and do that work first and see what happens to the grades. It automatically will go up, guaranteed.
If you're listening to this and watching this, and you want me to throw out the website again, it's simple. It's HolisticSuccessCodes.com. That's HolisticSuccessCodes.com. We've been talking to our special guest today, Kohila Sivas. Man, I can't believe the time is already up. But if you had one last thought for our viewers and listeners, what would you tell them, and how else can they stay up to date to all the resources you have available?
Yeah, I'm a global figure now. I've worked hard to become that, so I'm excited about that. I'm, speaking on so many stages. I have a TEDx talk January 9th scheduled in Florence, Italy. So watch that, because I'm going to say something that is going to change the education around the world and professional development around the world, because I'm sick and tired of it doing the wrong way. And continuously we get stuck with this, problems and stress and fatigue, and then we fix ourselves, and then we go for a little bit, and then we get shut down again, and then we fix ourselves. I'm kind of sick and tired of it. I got the formula. I'm going to share it on that day. On January 9th, 2027, I will be sharing with the world what do we need as a human being to continue in an era with AI where we're not competing. We're amplifying each other's, what's going to come out of AI will amplify me. Whatever coming out of me will amplify AI. This is how we're going to exponentially grow as humans, right? So that's what I'm going to be sharing. But I'm on all socials. All socials is Kohila Sivas. You can find me. I release articles almost every single day. I am, my heart and my soul, I am here in this world for only one reason from my creator, is to change this. That's what he told me on the day that I was supposed to die. I got a second chance. So I want to serve 1.5 billion humans by 2035. I'm already doing it. I have thousands of other people doing it. School systems are starting to adapt. So you will see changes and your life is going to get better. So be optimistic, right? Be real optimistic that we're humans are not going anywhere. Great things are about to happen. So I'm excited. I'm
Well,
excited.
we're excited about this. You've been listening and watching us online on Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Kohila Sivas. Go to her website and get even more excited because that TED Talk, that's congratulations. That's a big deal. And man, that's a great opportunity, global opportunity. You're already global, but I'm just saying, expand even more. But go to her website. It's HolisticSuccessCodes.com, HolisticSuccessCodes.com. And we can't wait to see what you're going to be doing in the future. We might hopefully, cross fingers, get you back on and get an update and see what you're doing and catch up with you. But until then, like always, Kohila, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.